Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a blue screen. In post I might put something, but at the moment it's blue for me. Today we're doing a top 10 favourite monsters for Monster Hunter World. Now we're going to do this quite a bit. There's going to be quite a few Monster Hunter videos coming up in the upcoming weeks, because at the moment all I'm playing is Monster Hunter World, and I'm going on to Rise soon. Streaming at the moment isn't going on due to mental health complications and other things going on, let's just put it like that. But I am going to try and keep an upload schedule of videos at least once, maybe twice a week. Today's video is different. It's a top 10 video, and it's my first ever top 10 video. So it's a very awkward video. Some of the clips are going to be very short because I don't have much to say about the monster. Some of them are going to be very long because I have a lot to say about the monster. There are 10 monsters, well 13 monsters. There is a top 10, and there is going to be a top 10 set of monsters. But I have got 3 monsters which are honourable mentions. These 3 monsters I find very awkward because I don't know where to put them. They are a monster which is in my one set of favourite monsters, but I wouldn't exactly put them above any of the other 10. So they are basically position 11, 12, 13. But again, some days these monsters for me are better than some of the monsters which are on the list. It changes depending on my mood. We're going to go through an easy format, 3 honourable mentions, and then we're going to start from 10 and go down to 1. If you enjoy the video, hit that thumbs up, hit that like button, subscribe, share it around with friends. The Monster Hunter community is huge. It would be nice to be able to reach some of that demographic. There are at the moment planned 2 other videos planned, not including this video. To follow up this video, we've also got my most hated monsters, and then after that one we've got my favourite weapons. The favourite weapon is going to be awkward, and we're going to explain it when we get to it, but to start with we're going to do for top 10 favourite monsters and then top 10 hated monsters, and we will go from there and figure out the weapons when we get there. So I'm going to shut up and get on with the video now instead of waffling on. I hope you enjoy. You're not going to agree with every monster on this list, that is my personal opinion. Some of the monsters are done solely due to my enjoyment. Some of them are where they are because of challenge. Some of them are where they are because the armour looks amazing, and because I have farmed the living daylights out of them to get the armour. Some of these monsters are odd because some of them I hated when I first started with them. Some of them then grew on me as I fought them more. And some of them, from the very beginning when I first saw them, I sat there and went, Jesus Christ, I love this monster. And that's mostly the top 5 odd. But I will see you in a minute. I hope you enjoy, and let's start the video. So to start off, honourable mentions, we've got a monster which is just a floating balloon basically. Palumi, and its variant Nightshade Palumi. I enjoyed these monsters. When I first saw it, it made me laugh, and I farmed the ever-living daylights out of it on both high rank and master rank to get its armour. Not that I use the armour anymore because Valhaar's Arc armour exists, but I enjoy the monster. The only reason it is in the honourable mentions rank is because I don't know where in the list I'd place it. Originally I put it as place number 3, but then I found looking back through the files, I found a monster which I prefer more, and I wouldn't put it above any of the other monsters which are on the list. But no, I like Palumi, I like the armour, I like the weapon, I just like the whole idea of Palumi. I think it's cute and funny. And where would a list of top 10s be without the flagship monster? Now, Nergigante is the honourable mention number 2 for me. Yet again, same as Palumu, I don't know where I would put it. I find Nergigante is an amazing creature looking and battle-wise. The whole idea of it being borderline immortal due to the whole idea that it's got regeneration and all that. Theorized regeneration. We don't know if it's regeneration to the level of it regens the whole body or if it's just regeneration for the spikes. But it is theorized that it's full-on regeneration. To have a monster like that, which sole purpose in life is to hunt the strongest of the strongest, basically. It survives off of hunting elder dragons, which that's a huge commitment considering Teostra, Valhaar, Nemali, Sharish Vilda, Zor Magdaros, just to name a few. To think of a monster which goes toe to toe with the best of the best is purely, it's a strong monster. It again, I don't know where to put it, because I wouldn't put it above the top 5. I wouldn't put it into my top 5, but then I wouldn't say at the same time it's any better than my other 5 above the top 5, purely due to my entertainment and my enjoyment value. I think it is one of the first really challenging enemies you face. It's before all of the elder dragons you face it, and I think it is truly one of those monsters which give you the real test of your capabilities. I have faced it solo, and I have faced it many times in parties and many times in solo, and I don't think ever once did I do a 0 cart run on it. It is truly a beast to be terrified of, and a beast which is truly perfect in every way. It doesn't make the top 10 because the ones in my top 10 are better, in my opinion, but it does make the honourable mention spot, and I think it's an amazing creature, and it's an amazing fight, and it's an amazing design. Glavenus. Honourable mention number 1. Where do I begin? Well, a few weeks ago, I would have quite happily put you in my most hated list. Glavenus, when I first hunted him, I hated him. At that point, I was trying out new weapons. I mained at this point for Insect Glaive, but I was trying to get used to heavy bowgun and greatsword. Let's just say I hated this hunt. I hated everything to do with it. The reason it makes it onto the honourable list is purely because once I'd practiced my weapons against him, I used him as my training monster for some odd reason. I got used to the weapons. I also started to like him. His design is unique, his tail being basically just an overgrown greatsword, in a sense. I find hilarious and also terrifying. The way in the first cutscene when you see him, he basically sneaks up behind you. With his pure size, you wouldn't expect him to do that. He takes on a Rathalos, even if in his second form all you really see him take on is a great Gyros, which isn't that impressive. It's one of the worst monster. It's one of the baseline easy monsters, just like Great Jagras. But to be able to take on a Rathalos, or Rathian, it's one of the other which you took on, I think it's a Rathalos, and still be able to sneak up behind you is purely astonishing. Yes, a few weeks ago I would have put him as number probably 3 on my most hated monsters, but only due to the fact that I practiced new weapons on him. once I had fought him enough times, and once I got onto his other deviant version, his acidic Glessglaess, I loved him. The fight keeps you on your toes. He is, even with his size, he is quick, and he is hard hitting with that tail greatsword. He is an astonishing monster, but again, I wouldn't put him in the top 10. But I would put him at number 1 in my honourable mentions, because I think he is better than Nergigante, and he is better than Palumu. I just don't think he's better than the other 10 monsters I have in stock. But no, this monster, honestly, hated him, turned to love. It was a hate to love relationships, and that is why I love him. Right, so coming in at number 10 is Leana. Leana is a monster which I instantly fell in love with as soon as I saw it. I was on call with, at the time, my partner, or my girlfriend, whatever you can be bothered to call it. And all I remember is that while on call with her, I got her to stop her chatting about the day, just to tell her about this monster and just to show her this monster. Yes, I then allowed her to carry on chatting about her day, but I fell in love with Leana as soon as I saw it. A monster which is the king of the skies in the Coral Highlands, and I love the Coral Highlands, and I love Leana. It's also one of the few monsters, I think one of the only monsters we have actually seen multiple off in one scene, which is the scene where you load into ice, whatever, into the DLC. And I think it is a magnificent creature, and it has earned Space 10, but I wouldn't, as beautiful as it is, put it above anything else on this list. But yeah, I think it's beautiful, it looks beautiful, and it is an amazing fight, with an amazing armour as well. It's the first armour I fully farmed and wore for quite a while. Coming in at position 9. Now this was originally going to be Fatalis, but he is somewhere else on the list now that I've actually played against Fatalis. He was the last monster, he was the only monster on the list which I hadn't actually played against. Now on number 9 is Nargacuga. Nargacuga, I think, is a beautiful creature, and it was already on the list. It was actually the position just below this. It was position 8 originally, but I have now grown to like other monsters on top of it. Nargacuga, I like the whole design, the whole dog, cat-like, bat-like idea, and it's fast, it's agile, and it keeps you on your toes. I think it is a good creature. The armour's not the best, it kind of lets it down, the armour, but I do love the fight, and I do love everything I see of it, even going back to looking at videos of the old Monster Hunter games where it showed up. Love the creature, love the design, hate the armour, but I do love the creature and everything it's worth, the whole fight. So, coming in joint 8th is one which is primarily based on one creature, and then with the other one on top of it. It's the rolling duo, Raban and Uragan. Preferably 8th position would be Raban, and I'm going to talk about Raban, and you can kind of put the same idea onto Uragan. Raban and Uragan are both rolling creatures. They're the rolling thunder duo, and I love them. In my head, Raban is a younger version of Uragan. It's not reality, but that is my headspace on the whole matter. Because they both roll, they both have similar-ish attacks. My idea is that Uragan is a Raban without spikes, basically. Uragan was going to be on my most hated list at space number 10. But I've grown to like him more now that I've hunted him. Both Raban's armour is better than Uragan's armour in look-wise. Uragan's armour does look a bit weird. Raban is for some odd reason a spaceman bunny suit, and I love it. But I love the idea of both of them. Just two monsters which are rolling around, which are incredibly violent, even going up against a tigress. I do love it, and I find them really funny, and really, in a weird sense, cute, and they're a good fight as well. Yes, Barioth, the manic flying wyvern, surprisingly. I thought it was a fanged wyvern, but it apparently isn't, it's a flying wyvern. He comes in at position 7. I do like him a lot more than the ones like Raban and Uragan. I think Uragan and Raban, if we weren't including Iceborne, would be quite a bit higher on the list, because some of the monsters coming up now are Iceborne exclusive, which I think puts them down, because I've played Iceborne and I've played based game and I've played the extended. But Barioth I love, even his armor set, his whole design, armor set amazing. It's something which is going to be repeated like a broken record. Design is amazing. It is one of my favourite designs. To think it's a flying wyvern, I'm a bit confused, but we'll go with it. I do love the fight. Same as all the others, I love the fight, and he's amazing looking. I am fire. I am death. The embodiment of Smaug from the Hobbit series in-game comes in at number 6. Safi Jiva. And in turn, Xeno Jiva, because they are technically the same monster. We know from any gameplay of Elden Ring you've seen or heard me play, I do love a good dragon. Dragons to me are amazing. If I could have one mythical creature come to life, it would be a dragon. Or a unicorn. Which is strange because Kieran doesn't actually fit into this list at all. I just don't like that fight. But dragons for me are the perfect creature. And we will see that going through the list, we see dragons pop up. Like Leana in a sense, and Nergigante. And moving on to the list, I think we've got 2 more dragons to come. And then on the most hated list we have 1 dragon, but for good reason, which we'll get to when we make that list. Now, Safi Jiva was a creature which I got annoyed at so often, because no one would join my recon quest, so I was doing it solo, and that was a ball ache. But after a while I started getting more people for my recon quest to unlock Fatalis, and I started to be able to do the fight and learn the fight properly. I haven't been able to get onto the siege yet, because the next siege comes out in May, and currently it is April 23rd, and the next siege is on May 4th. So I've not been able to do the siege yet, but I think from doing plenty of the recon missions to unlock Fatalis, helping plenty of people and doing plenty of the missions, I don't think it's going to move from 6th position. Originally when I wrote this list, Toby Gadachi was in 6th position, but Safi Jiva and Xeno Jiva in turn took that space over when I actually learned to fight properly. And I've been playing against Safi and Xeno quite a bit for the last 2.5 days. I had Monday off college, and I had Monday the 22nd off college and Sunday the 21st off work. So I've been doing a lot of Xeno and Safi. I think the Xeno armor looks amazing. I do love the whole design of the Xeno armor. The Safi Jiva armor is what keeps it out of top 5. I'm not a big fan of the Safi armor, or really the weapons, from what I've seen from looking up on Google and looking at videos. But the top 5 are monsters which are very hard to beat in my opinion, and they're monsters which I love the armor, love the boss monster kind of thing. But no, do love a good dragon, especially when it reminds me of the Hobbit, and especially Smaug, because Smaug is amazing and the Hobbit is also amazing. I completely fan-personed over this because it's the Hobbit. we are now finally reaching top 5 territory, and Fatalis has a 5.5-minute long video, but he deserves it. Fatalis is God. I've said it. Fatalis is the closest thing we have to a god in Monster Hunter. It is a black dragon, after all, and it destroyed an entire civilization and instills pure dread and fear into literally everyone. Even to the point where the Commission has dragged everyone into this mission. Not just the Fifth Fleet, not just the people we see in game, everyone. And to be able to meet the General after hearing basically nothing about him, apart from he gives us missions, for the General to be coming to the New World, to inform us of Fatalis, to then drag us to a completely new location. And I will emphasize completely new location, separate to the whole map, just for Fatalis. Now I know Safi Jiva does the same, but Safi Jiva also then has the same location as another Elder Dragon, Eltrion, I believe. But Fatalis instills pure dread, for good reason. I personally haven't farmed at all for Fatalis. I'm going to be totally honest, I've not even got past the first phase, which is the solo phase. I get to about the 25-minute mark. I think my longest is, about 25 minutes mark of Fatalis. And I've carted 5 times by then and I'm done. Fatalis reminds me, to be totally honest with you, Demon Souls or Dark Souls. It is a monster which is overpowered in a castle, and to start with, you're solo in it. Eventually you can get up to 4 players including yourself, but to even unlock that section with the 4 players you have to do the solo part. And I've looked up the armor, and the armor looks perfect as well. Everything about Fatalis, from the fight to the whole aesthetic to the whole idea of Fatalis, is pure perfection. I will emphasize again, this is a god, and he fits into the top 5 section, starting off the top 5 section perfectly, because his status is above everything else. Personally, for my own liking, he's not position 4, 3, 2, 1. I think if I was actually able to finish the quest instead of dying every 10 seconds, I would like him a lot more. The thing with Bloodborne, Dark Souls, all that lot, I do love the games, but when you try and do the same difficulty in another game, that's when it annoys me. I will emphasize that now, because later on we have more Dark Souls and Bloodborne references and all that coming in, and I will explain again in those missions, in that category, why I like that monster so much. But Fatalis is beautiful. It deserves the role of Black Dragon, it deserves the role of God, it deserves the role of the most difficult creature probably in the entire game, maybe even in the entire series. Don't quote me on that. Again, same as Safi, love a dragon, and for a dragon to actually be strong like Fatalis, and to be on the level of Fatalis where it is basically endgame, and I don't mean endgame by its collection to be endgame, it is endgame, it is the last boss really that you want to fight. You want to farm everything and then get to Fatalis. It is weird that they put him, that you can unlock him basically almost straight after end of Iceborne, but whatever floats our boat, I guess. But Fatalis is a god in every right, and I love him. and I love everything about him. And I can't wait to actually beat him and then farm the living daylights out of him till I get fed up of him and he becomes onto my top hated list because I've died so many times. But for a monster to kill me as many times as it does, Fatalis deserves position 5. Dodo G comes in at position 4, and honestly, where do I begin? Dodo G is an odd creature to have at number 4, but I love the design. I think Dodo G is adorable. From my gameplay experience, he's on the same level as like Glessglaess and Glessglaess, whatever. But I find him hilariously funny, and I find him cute, and I find him adorable. And I would quite happily have a pet Dodo G. And Dodo G must be protected at all times, because if anything hurts it, then I am going to take my great axe straight to its face. But no, Dodo G is precious. And he deserves position 4, and yes, above Safi Jiva, and yes, above Fatalis, because I love him a lot more. And I think I've only hunted him once. Every other time I've seen him, it has just been me walking alongside him. And I do find him utterly adorable, and he is a perfect creature in every way. He must be protected. And he becomes in position 4. He would if the other 3 creatures do exist, he would come in first. But sadly, the other 3 creatures do exist, so he doesn't come in first. But yes, he is precious, and he must be kept safe, and he's adorable, and he's cute. He's perfect in every way. And we have finally reached the top 3 most beloved monsters, most favourite monsters, whatever you want to call them. And coming in at number 3 is the beautiful Elder Dragon, the Elder Dragon of the Tide, the Elder Dragon of the Water, Namali, or Namali, or Nam-Eli, however it's pronounced, I don't know, but I'm going to go with what I originally said, Namali. It is honestly a sight to behold. It is a beautiful creature. It controls the tide, it controls water. The fight is a bit mediocre for an Elder Dragon, but I do love it. I think I soloed it first try with Insectglaive, but it is a beautiful creature, and it wins position 3 solely for the armour is magnificent, the monster is magnificent, the fight is amazing, could be better. And that's my only downside to it, but I do love Namali. I saw it in a trailer for Iceborne, and I instantly fell in love as soon as I saw it in that trailer, and I have been waiting for it ever since, up until the moment I saw it, where I fell in love even more. But Namali comes in position 3. And coming rightfully in at second position is Devil Joe, the honorary hunter, is what I've labelled Devil Joe. He's an invasion monster, just like Basil, but Basil did not make it on this list because fuck Basil. Devil Joe, every time I have been near him or fighting him, it's always been when he has showed up. Apart from his one mission, he has just randomly showed up in a mission, and I think he does more damage to the monster than he does to the team, and that's why to me he's the honorary hunter, because literally earlier in most matches it is just him. As soon as stalking the hunter and beating the living daylights out of the hunter, not the hunter, stalking the monster and beating the living daylights out of the monster. And I find that hilarious because you don't exactly expect that. Devil Joe's armour is amazing, and Savage Devil Joe armour is also amazing. It's an amazing fight, and I find him hilarious, especially, well, not especially when he is just hunting with you. When he's fighting you, he is annoying as hell, but he is an amazing creature, and he becomes second position because fuck Basil. And I love Devil Joe. He's one of my favourites, obviously. And I always love a hunt where he's in it. And finally, to top off the video, is number 1, Valhaar. And if anyone has ever played Monster Hunter with me, or has ever seen me playing Monster Hunter, 9 times out of 10, unless for some reason I'm feeling a bit different, I am wearing Valhaar armour. Because I love the armour, I feel safe in my almost augmented rank Valhaar with Black Veil Valhaar armour. And yes, Black Veil Valhaar comes into this. Valhaar is the Death Elder Dragon. He is the Eldritch Horror Elder Dragon. And he is what I've labelled as the Bloodborne Dragon. If there ever was a dragon in Bloodborne, this is what it would look like. And this comes back to the one issue Fatalis has. Fatalis has the entire feel of Dark Souls. And I love Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring. It is the entire feel of Dark Souls, vibe of Dark Souls even. But the mechanics is what lets Fatalis down. Fatalis feels like it has been dragged out of Dark Souls and put into Monster Hunter, whereas Valhaar and Black Veil Valhaar has the vibe and the aesthetic of Bloodborne. And at a push Dark Souls, I wouldn't exactly say Dark Souls, I would more say Bloodborne. That reminds me, Fatalis looks like Medea. And I didn't state that in the Fatalis section, and I wish I did, but it does look like Medea the Dark Eater. But anyway, on to Valhaar. Valhaar, beautiful creature. I have hunted Valhaar more than any monster in the game. Valhaar has about double the amount of hunts than any creature put into Monster Hunter combined. I spend most of my days hunting Valhaar or Black Veil Valhaar. I have farmed the ever-living daylights out of Valhaar to get the full armor set. I max ranked back in the day when I was using the weapon for Valhaar, and I didn't swap to Magnus Blade or something for Insectlave, and then became a greatsword user, and I now use the Stygian Zenelga weapon. Executioner's something. Before I started using greatsword, I had max ranked Valhaar's weapon. And yes, I also max ranked it all the way up to Black Veil Valhaar. I had unlocked Augment for it. And I so wish I kept that weapon, because I sold it as soon as I switched to Magnus for whatever reason. And then I became greatsword and heavy bowgun. But Valhaar, honestly, I can't put into words how much I love Valhaar. The aesthetic and the fight, and anything which kills a Gyros, I am down for. And yes, if you're going to tell I hate Gyros, and yes, Gyros does come into my... Oh no, it did come into my top 3 hated monsters, but it was replaced with something, in my opinion, way worse. I would like to state, when I say Gyros, I mean the smaller Gyros, not the Great Gyros. I love the Great Gyros. It was going to go on this list. It barely missed out. It didn't even get an honourable mention because I only wanted 3 honourable mentions. But it barely dodged the list. But Valhaar, honest to God, Eldritch Horror. You could see Valhaar up there with Cthulhu. You could see Valhaar up there with something like a Leshen, or a werewolf, or really anything along those lines. You could see a Valhaar up there with Eldritch Horror beams and terrifying creatures. You could quite easily put Valhaar in a monster horror movie or game, and he would fit in perfectly. Valhaar is beautiful, and the armor is magnificent as well. I love the whole aesthetic of the armor, how you become kind of a deaf princess in a sense for the Black Veil Valhaar, and it fits right down my alleyway. It fits right into what I enjoy in monsters, which is pure horror, pure dread look. The look of when you look at it, it is pure dread. The fight is amazing. The effluvian, the AoE effluvian thingy. Honest to God, I died to that more than I died to Valhaar, but we will not talk about that. But no, Valhaar for me rightfully earns position 1, the pole position. He rightfully wins. He beats Fatalis. He beats everything else. I love Valhaar and its armor. And that is the end of the video. I hope it's been as much of a pleasure as it has been for me. This took about 6 hours to combine the videos, do all the voiceovers, combine then the voiceovered videos into one video, and then upload. There's going to be a lot of Monster Hunter videos uploaded in the coming weeks while I sort out my willingness to stream. The next video is going to be in the next few weeks. It's going to be most hated monsters, and I will give you a hint. Most of it is the swimming monsters. I think all 3 of the swimming monsters are somewhere on that list. And then it comes into favourite weapons and favourite weapon in that class, and then I think favourite armour look as well, and least favourite armour look will also then be something, maybe top 5. There will then be some more, probably then jumping into Rise. We'll probably do the exact same most favourite farm, go through the whole game, do the most favourite monsters, most hated monsters, favourite weapons and weapon classes, top 10 weapon classes, and favourite weapons in that class for look, and then top favourite armour and least favourite armour for look. But no, Monster Hunter has become for me a massive part, and when Monster Hunter Wilds comes out, we will do the exact same thing. If you're lucky, by that point we might be streaming back at that point, so I might then do some streams for that. On Monster Hunter related, I do want to do favourite cars in my garage. I do want to do more garage tours for GTA, as I'm not doing streams on there. I want to do some more kill montages for Fortnite and maybe Apex if you're lucky. There's some stuff I want to do on a collection of other games which I have, which I want to do more videos for. At the moment, for the unknown long period of time to the future, my aim is to do just videos. For an unknown amount of time, there won't be any streams, it will just be videos. Top 10s, kill montages. There are some game reviews I've got set which I want to do. I want to do a Monster Hunter game review, which will come up in the next few weeks. Monster Hunter Rise game review. So there's some other games which I've now downloaded or bought since the last review, which I want to go over and do reviews for, and see if there's any videos I can do for that. To give a little bit of a summary, life has become a bit of a chore at the moment. There's a lot going on mentally, and a lot of stuff outside of streaming and work and college is affecting that. Eventually, when I get better, which I am getting better, but when I do get better, I will be then posting more streams and getting back into streaming. But at the moment we are covering the gap with content which are videos only, which means short content, and it's easier for me. I hope you've enjoyed. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you soon.